It's Monday, November 4. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Carol Francis. Academic employees of the University of Technology, UTECH, are still off the job. They reportedly met on the weekend to discuss the government's offer of a $400 million interim payment of retroactive salaries owed to them. The figure is less than half of the reportedly $886 million outstanding. The UTECH employees have been on strike since Friday, October 25. The strike resulted in the cancellation of classes for the more than 3,000 students at UTECH. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is now in the People's Republic of China for an 8-day official working visit. The Prime Minister will meet with President of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, municipal leaders, other public and private sector officials, investors, and members of the Jamaican community in China. Prime Minister Holness will also address the opening session of the China International Import Exposition, one of the world's largest expos, along with President Xi and Minister of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, Audley Shaw. Prime Minister Holness will also get a first-hand view of China's shipping and logistics operations and visit several historic monuments and areas, including the Monument of the People's Heroes in Tiananmen Square, Beijing, where he will lay a floral tribute. The Prime Minister is accompanied by Juliet Holness, Audley Shaw, Kamina Johnson-Smith, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, President of JAMPRO Diane Edwards, and senior technocrats. The delegation returns to the island on November 10. Minister of National Security Dr. Horace Chang will be in charge of the government during the period. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is now in London, England, participating in 3 major global travel shows. The minister, who is accompanied by senior officials from his ministry and the Jamaica Tourist Board, will participate in the International Tourism and Investment Conference on Global Investment Opportunities in Sustainable Tourism, the World Travel Market, and the Global Travel and Tourism Resilience Council's 4th Annual Global Resilience Summit. Government Senator Donald Don Webby says he is in support of the public procurement domestic margin of preference that allows small to medium enterprises, SMEs, to participate in the procurement process. Mr. Webby also highlighted the barriers that could impede the success of the legislation, including the need for working capital and lack of access to financing by SMEs.
Mr. President, the other feedback that we pick up, and it must be addressed, Senator Brown, is that the government procurement process is too lengthy, unaffordable, and lacking in transparency. Mr. President, also the GOJ tender requirements and documents are considered too burdensome and for essentially low value contracts. And that leads me to the point, Mr. President, when we pass this legislation, it is important that we provide to these smaller entities training in proper bookkeeping, training in proper corporate governance, and training in terms of legal, Senator Fraser-Binns, in how to maneuver through these documents. But it is obvious that if you are giving these small businesses these lengthy documents, they're going to find it extremely challenging to navigate.
Mr. Webby made several other suggestions he believes will allow SMEs to overcome the challenges they face, including the establishment of a loan scheme.
Obtain loans for up to 60% of the relevant contract price to cover the cost of contract execution. Mr. President, I would also like to suggest consideration be given to waiving the security and document requirements for various bidding procedures for MSMEs. Mr. President, I also want to suggest, and this is somewhat of an innovation, the creation of what I would describe as an MSME award program to increase MSME product visibility among all government suppliers, contractors, and consultants.
Opposition Senator Wentworth Skeffrey also spoke of the need to ensure the procurement guidelines agreed to are followed.
If you want a provision to be exempted, the law tells you how to do it. But there's a practice, Mr. President, where we have these truncated contracts. We divide it in various sums to go around the tender processes, and sometimes we don't have the best person getting these contracts to provide the quality goods or services that we need. And ultimately it's a country that suffers. So even the growth that we seek, we won't get it because the resources that should trickle down in the economy doesn't take place and we don't achieve our objective.
With just 2 months left in the calendar year and the festive season approaching, the government has signaled its intention to increase its security presence on the ground. The decision was taken at the regular monthly meeting of the National Security Council to implement the massive security operation, which is to be executed by the Jamaica Constabulary Force and the Jamaica Defense Force. 400 security personnel will be deployed. The council also discussed advances made in several key legislations critical to the fight against crime, including the Bail Act and the Firearms Act. Minister without portfolio in the Economic Growth and Job Creation Ministry, Darrell Vaz, has confirmed receipt of correspondence from the United States Embassy in Kingston, which stated that his U.S. visa had been revoked based on, quote, subsequent to the visa issuance, information has come to light that you may be ineligible for a visa. If you would like to travel to the United States, you must reapply, end quote. Minister Vaz says he advised the Prime Minister of the issue and has since initiated through the formal procedures and the protocols the process of seeking clarification as to what's needed for him to be issued a United States visa. The minister says as a public figure he is obligated to keep the public updated on the outcome of the process of appeal of the revocation which has been formally launched. In 2008, Minister Vaz renounced his U.S. citizenship following the issuance of a ruling in the dual citizenship case which was brought against him. Minister Vaz says he is committed to pursuing the matter concerning the revocation of his U.S. visa with the aim of a positive result. Meanwhile, PNP Vice President and East Kingston Member of Parliament Philip Powell has also confirmed that his United States visa has been revoked. He reportedly says no reason was given for the revocation. He says he will be in touch with the U.S. Embassy about the revocation of his visa. Prime Minister Andrew Holness handed over the keys to a newly built 5-bedroom house 4 months after 21-month-old Namar Facey perished in a fire on July 19 that left 26 people, 14 children and 11 adults homeless on Bay Farm Road in Kingston. The cause of the fire is believed to be the result of a child playing with matches. The house is the first to be built under the housing component of the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Program, HOPE. Mr. Holness says the government is not only addressing the need for housing solutions, it has also put measures in place to eliminate energy poverty. The seeming inability to pay one's energy bill, which experts say is linked to adverse consequences for people's health and well-being.
We started a program where we recognize that aside from the housing stock issue, there is the issue of energy poverty, because many of the persons who reside here are not able to pay for electricity, and you have the issue of the illegal abstraction of electricity, which then lends itself to becoming another hazard. So we have started a program where we have distributed solar lamps in order to prevent fires from starting because of the illegal abstraction of electricity or the lack of electricity, where people have to use candles. Candles turn over and houses get destroyed.
$1 billion has been allocated for the HOPE housing program. The $1 billion will be spread equitably across all constituencies under the supervision of members of Parliament. Each MP has been given funding to address 5 housing problems being experienced in their constituency.
It's designed to deal with situations like these. So this obviously would be what we call in Jamaica a big yard. You have several households living in the one home, and if there is a fire, everybody gets dislocated, not just one household. The circumstances would not be considered ideal in terms of how sewage is disposed, how they get water, their roofing, cooking facilities, bathroom facilities, all of those issues. So the program is designed to deal with these, what we call big yards, where there are many households, many young children, and to improve the housing stock.
The Central Jamaica Social Development Initiative, through its homegrown produce brand, is not only aiming to help reduce food imports, but also to provide jobs to numerous young people in the parish of Clarendon. Farmers from St. Elizabeth and St. Catherine have signed contracts with the Chief Executive Officer of Homegrown Produce Limited, Damian Young, to supply them with red peas they will be planting so as to increase local output. The signing took place at the launch of the Red Peas Industry Program in Spalding's Clarendon by Minister without Portfolio in the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries, J.C. Hutchinson. This comes against the background that in 2018, some 7,642 tons of red peas, valued at $8.2 million were imported. The figure represents an increase of 395 tons over the previous year, and an increase of $1 million being spent on the importation of red peas. The government is currently looking at different varieties that are suitable for planting in Jamaica. In regional news, Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit says the upcoming general elections will be free and fair. The elections are constitutionally due next year. He says the election will be held in under 85 days. He says his government has made attempts to implement electoral reforms, but are being held up by the opposition party.
We sought to go to Parliament on two separate occasions. The first time we went to Parliament, there was a mob outside of the Parliament, and to the point where they were prepared to storm the Parliament. And I, who is always a maker of peace and a promoter of peace, I decided to withdraw the bills on the other paper and to allow for there to be further consultation with stakeholders across the country. We wrote to the opposition in Dominica, for example, and we said to them, look, these are the amendments. Tell us which of these clauses you do not agree with and which you agree with, so that we can have a discussion, a sensible discussion in the matter. They are yet to submit to us that which they do not agree with and that which they agree with. We sought to go back to the Parliament a second time because we removed one or two clauses in the amendment, and the same thing happened.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says investigations into sexual misconduct allegations against former Minister of Sport and Youth Affairs Darrell Smith was improperly handled. Additionally, there was never any attempt to cover up the findings.
I don't know where this cover-up is, but wherever it is not with me, it is not with my office, and it is not with the government.
The statement by the Prime Minister at Thursday's post-cabinet media briefing. It's alleged that a payment of $150,000 was made to a former employee of the Ministry of Sport and Youth Affairs after she alleged that she was sexually harassed by former Youth and Sport Affairs Minister Darrell Smith. The Prime Minister said he woke up on Thursday to headlines in two daily newspapers which claimed there's an attempt by his government to cover up the findings of the investigation. Dr. Rowley told members of the media this is in fact not the case. He explained that although the findings of the report reflected poorly on the former sport minister, the matter was handled badly by the persons hired to investigate the allegations, therefore making the findings in the report unusable.
He was not spoken to by the compilers of the report, but they came to conclusions adverse to Mr. Smith without speaking to him. Those who did the report went too far without consulting Mr. Smith, and that would make the report unusable.
Dr. Rowley said it is for this reason that the information was not made public.
So it would be crazy for me, in the face of that historical matter of recent vintage, to now be advised by senior counsel not to publish a report, or to advise that the report is useless because it has breached Mr. Smith's rights to be heard, and then to make the report public.
Dr. Rowley said although the report's findings were improperly handled, he remained comfortable with his decision to remove Mr. Smith as a cabinet member.
In sports, West Indies head coach Phil Simmonds says the Caribbean side must not take Afghanistan for granted in their upcoming series. He says execution and consistency are crucial to success of the West Indies in the game.
To play against him, I think in T20 and Test cricket more so, but they're difficult in all formats. We're playing in India, which suits them a lot better. The only thing that I take from this is that we're not at the ground where we played at last year, because I think they have a better understanding of that ground, and this ground they've never played, so it's even. But it's going to be a difficult series. It's Afghanistan, another walkover to any team.
The Afghanistan series against West Indies will kick off with a 3-match T20 series. The first game bowls off tomorrow. That will be followed by 3 ODIs before the tour concludes with a one-off test match. All the matches will take place at the Rajiv Gandhi International Cricket Stadium in Derandam. And that's our package. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same place, for more news and sports right here on PBCJ, the People's Station.